Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out the QSP Emu. Another absolute banger coming from QSP. We reviewed the Chef Master recently and I still love this knife. Fantastic job. I liked every single knife that was in this drop. And like I said in the Chef Master video, there's something about QSP knives. They just feel more solid than pretty much all the other budget knives that I handle. Civivis are more thin and slicey. These are still slicey, but they just have that. They feel like they could be hard use knives. And I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they're very stout feeling. Now this one's an anomaly and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But nice and versatile blade shape here. You have I guess they're calling it a reverse tanto. I'm not exactly sure. But you can easily use that tip for detailed stuff. If you need to pierce into something, it's right there in the center. So it's going to be easy to pierce into a bag of potato chips. And then in hand cuts, being that your belly's not too crazy to that tip, should be fairly easy. Now you do have somewhat of a forward finger choil. The way it comes down like that, what I was doing is holding it kind of like a trigger right here. But if I want to, I can kind of creep up. But I definitely think it was necessary because if you're behind that flipper tab, you're a good ways away from that edge and I'm liable to get caught up in that section. This doubles as a large sharpening choil and you can see they did a great job. You're gonna go all the way to here before you have to worry about anything thickening up. So that's probably about close to the life of this blade. You got a nice raw stonewash finish that should hide wear very well. Good functional row of grippy jimping. Now it's not a super long row, but I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, I can grab it here or if I'm choked back. Your tip there is not dainty. If you need to do a little twist and turn into some wood, you should be perfectly fine with that. Your blade steel on this one is Sandvik 14C 28N. I absolutely love that as a budget steel. It holds a respectable edge. It's got great corrosion resistance and it's super tough. Not to mention, it drops back very easy and it's very easy to sharpen. If I want to put a mirror polished edge on it, it's going to do great with that. And it gets some of the sharpest edges I've ever gotten was from 14C. If I want to leave it toothy, I can do that as well. The overall size on this one, I think is excellent at 7.75 inches. So it's a medium to large knife. You have a 3.25 inch blade. So in my opinion, it's a more than usable blade length there. And I'm pretty excited to test this one because of the versatility, and pretty much every QSP knife that I've tested has not only come sharp, but they've come with a lot of bite to them. So I'm usually excited to test theirs. You know, now can one slip through the cracks? Of course, but I felt this one personally and it's nice and sticky sharp feeling. Why don't we put it to the test? Of course, this knife came with a fantastic edge. It's QSP. I've grown to expect that. I can't remember when's the last time I got one that was dull or wasn't, you know, pretty darn sharp to where it was easy to finish my testing. This one feels like it has a ton of bite. You are going to want to choke up so you don't fall into that choil area or large sharpening choil, whatever you want to call it. And I found that to be the comfortable sweet spot whenever I was doing in hand cuts. And yeah, this thing, it may not be as thinly ground as the Chef Master, but boy is it slicing well. The belly's not too crazy to where I was sliding out of the cut every time or anything. Now we're going to test those ergos, and once again in that choke up spot, I felt like I could get so much power. And then these micarta scales have a nice tactility to them. Very grippy while being comfortable. For me and my medium-sized hands, the pocket clip did not play a part, and I was able to get all the pressure I wanted to in it without anything being uncomfortable. No sharp spots anywhere. Exactly how I want it to be. Yeah, it was so far so good. Very comfortable. Just watch this. The first four, I want you to watch how it's popping this sisal rope, and it's because it's got bite. That toothiness grabs a hold to that fibrous material and it just wants to eat into it. And with the QSP knives, you know, most of the time whenever I'm doing this portion of testing, I usually do about 50 just to save on cost. And I'm not testing for edge retention. I'm just wanting to see how well it slices, see if the knife has any bite. You know, I can usually tell the knife's geometry and edge geometry by how it's slicing. And both QSP knives that I tested so far, I cut over 100 pieces just because it was so easy. And I'll be honest, I forgot I was cutting. And if I'm enjoying it, I'll do some more, because sometimes whenever it's easy like this, I enjoy this testing. Most of the time, that's not the case, because, you know, whenever I'm having to exert a lot of force into this scissor rope, my hands are sliding around those gloves, causing blisters. And who wants a blister when you don't have to? I do it for y'all, so hope y'all do enjoy this. And it's my review process anyway. This is where it's a really good shine right here, doing those detailed drag cuts. And all cuts on a flat cutting surface are going to be an absolute breeze because of the way this belly's set up. It blasted through everything that I put in front of it. It never felt like it slowed down at all. QSP does a solid job with their heat treat, and man, this one was a lot of fun, just like the Chef Master. Yeah, can't say much more. Well, just as I expected, this one performed outstanding. Wasn't as slicey as the Chef Master, but this one has a nice high full flat grind, but it still performed very, very well. Now, this one's a fairly unique knife that you don't see on many budget knives. So this one has a crossbar lock. I think they call it the glide lock. And you have a blade hole, which that's pretty common, but you have a blade hole and a flipper tab. It's not all that common. I reviewed this Trivisa. I forgot the name of this one offhand. If I remember to, I'll put it up on the screen. But I was so excited about this one because it has a flipper tab, blade hole, and a crossbar lock. However, this one, if you don't time it just right, like I did just now, and you hold on to this just a little too long, that crossbar hits the flipper tab and it stops it. Not the biggest deal, but you know, it'll definitely bug you until you get it right. And the tension on this one wasn't the best, even though the tension to pull these Omega springs back is pretty darn strong. I don't really understand that on this one, but you know, it kind of fell short for me. Well, how did QSP do? They nailed it. So you have this very comfortable flipper tab with jimping there that grips the finger perfectly. You can load up if you want, grab the top corner of that, and it rockets out. Or you can just do a light switch and put your finger on top of that jimping, pull it back, comes out pretty much, you know, close to the same. The blade hole, fantastic. The tension on these Omega springs is dialed to perfection with both actions, so I'm not too worried about it's not catching it because of it being back here. I haven't had any issues with this one getting caught. It just sucks it back in. If you want to slow roll it, you can. If you want to grab that blade hole and do a pinch drop down, you could. Or if you want to use that crossbar to pull back, deploy it, you can do that also. So very smooth and snappy, riding on cage ceramic bearings, and perfect tension, creating your detent on that crossbar lock and Omega springs. This is not adjustable, but I'm okay. It doesn't need to be adjustable whenever it comes to you to perfection like that. Now, another place where I thought this one really, really shined was the ergos, especially for pretty much having flat scales. Now, you have these deep chamfers that give it a more contoured feeling, but the way this one dips down like that, it contours to the palm very well. So if you choke back, it's comfortable. And this choke spot's nice because you have enough thickness right there to where I'm really locked in. I can get a lot of force into whatever I'm cutting. This micarta, very, very grippy, well done. If micarta's not your thing, I'm pretty sure there's some non-micarta options of these. And if you prefer a black wash blade, I think there's that as well. The pull grip like this is okay. That flipper tab is going to be sitting right here. You know, in a pinch, if I need to make a couple of quick cuts like that, I could do it. It's just going to be a little uncomfortable. The reverse gas station knife fight grip is fine as well because you have this smooth spot right here, and this tip right here is not pokey or anything. So if you need to stab it into some wood to make a feather stick, you could do that. But I just love the texture on this micarta. It's got somewhat of a soft feeling to it without losing any of its tactility. I mean, nice and grippy. See those chamfers? You have like some fine micro milling from the passes they did here. And they did a great job of somewhat softening these edges. You can see they rounded over these hard edges right here. So nothing was sharp in my hand that I didn't want it to be besides the blade's edge. You have like a high satin finish on your stainless steel liners, 2 hourglass standoffs, making this one a very, very sturdy knife. Side to side, very sturdy. You have a filler tab and a reversible deep carry pocket clip. They inset that clip into the micarta, countersunk those screws. Excellent job. You got enough ramp that goes in and out of my pockets nicely. And it sits pretty much buries into the pocket. All you have is this little piece sticking up. And if you're a lanyard person, even though there's not a lanyard hole here, you could always tie your lanyard through this hole in the clip coming out like that if you really, really had to have one. Flow through construction. So if you need to get in there with a Q-tip, you can get in there, clean it out, clean all the gunk out. I just did this side right before the video, so that's why it's clean. And you can get this side as well. Blow it out with compressed air. You also have tons of skeletonization on those stainless steel liners to help bring down the weight. Now, it would have been nice also just to have a little plate here to house the crossbar lock, but I'm sure having those full stainless steel liners is making this one feel as robust as it is. With all that internal milling, it brings your weight to 3.87 ounces. I'm A-okay with that. I think that's fantastic. And of course, the balance point is perfection, making this one feel a lot lighter in hand, and it's going to be way more nimble in hand. Your lockup on this one, like a bank vault. There's absolutely no movement up or down, left or right. You don't even have any slide from the crossbar lock on mine, at least. That's exactly what I want to see. Gives me confidence that this one's going to remain open throughout all my testing. Now for some quick size comparisons. It's a little shorter than the QSP Ripley, and it's just about identical in length to the QSP Chefmaster. And it's right in between the Ontario Rat Model 1 and 2. And lastly, it's very similar in length to the Civivi Spiny Dogfish, and it's a little bit bigger than the Tenable Ray. Now, being that no knife is perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? Really, I only have a nitpick here, and that would be to have Torx T8 construction throughout your body screws and clip screws of Torx T6. It's always nice to have T8 or higher, and I like to have them all the same. That way I don't have to swap drivers out. I know it's being a little lazy, but also, you know, the T6 have a much better chance of being stripped out than T8. Even though I've taken apart a lot of QSP knives and never had one of them strip on me. So it's not that big of a deal. It's just a nitpick in my opinion. But other than that, what are my final thoughts? I think it's a good looking knife. Super, super solid feeling. You got a very versatile blade that perform really, really well. You got a robust crossbar lock, and you have great action with that crossbar lock. It's got great ergos, at least for my medium-sized hands, and this is one that I can highly, highly recommend. Just like the Chefmaster is a little bit slicier. The Emu is a little bit more comfortable in hand. This one's not bad at all, but this one is a little bit more comfortable in my opinion. And even though it's not as slicey as the Chefmaster, I think it's still sliced very well. So if you're interested in picking up one of these, I will have this one and all the new released QSP knives down below in the description. If you have any questions in particular, feel free to ask me that down below as well, and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every one of y'all is having a fantastic, fantastic day. And remember, keep your blade sharp, smile more,